After the female lead's death, Wu Chang, the crown prince of the Hu family who was once clear as the breeze and bright as the moon, began to indulge in drinking, racing, and, hating me. Wu Chang hated me and had me confined. On the anniversary of the female lead's death every year, late at night, he would come to torment me over and over again. Yuan Jiaojiao, why wasn't it you who died? Later on, I really did die. After my death, I was reborn and returned to 10 years ago. At that time, the female lead was still alive. I took the initiative to break up, to let him have his love, but he burst into my home like a madman. His eyes were bloodshot and obsessive. Yuan Jiaojiao, you are mine, you were in the past life, and in this life, you cannot think of leaving me. 01. Only when I died in childbirth did I realize that the world I was in was a tragic novel. I was the villainous side character who prevented the main characters from being together. Even though I grew up as childhood sweethearts with the male lead and eventually married him, I never won his heart. In the end, I died in the delivery room trying to bear his child. Yuan Jiaojiao, you are not allowed to die. Why do you die when I haven't tormented you enough? I drifted aside while Wu Chang frantically shook my corpse on the hospital bed. He truly hated me. If given another chance, I would definitely not fall for him again. With this thought, I found myself swept away by a tremendous force. When I woke up, I was in the old Yuan family mansion, in a pure white princess room arranged by my parents. The girl in the mirror was young and fresh, with a tender and naive face. I was back to 10 years ago. There was a missed call from Wu Chang on my phone, and for the first time, I did not call him back. 02. My name is Yuan Jiaojiao, the only daughter of the Yuan family in the capital, raised with utmost affection and indulgence. My engagement to Wu Chang was verbally agreed upon in our childhood. Our elders assumed that once we graduated, they would hold an engagement ceremony for us. After getting engaged, they sent us abroad together for postgraduate studies. After completing our studies, we were to marry and each inherit our family's businesses. A perfect match. Childhood sweethearts, according to the elders, Wu Chang and I would be the most envied and happy couple in the capital's social circles. But then Chu Lin appeared. From the moment she entered school, she fell for Wu Chang. Despite him already having a girlfriend, she approached him relentlessly, pursuing him. Initially, when Chu Lin confessed her feelings, Wu Chang, with a furrowed brow, told her he had a girlfriend and even pulled me in front of her to show. Later, when Chu Lin gave up on him, he began to feel anxious and insecure. He said he had never seen a woman as carefree as Chu Lin. Gradually, he lost himself in Chu Lin's relentless pursuit. Chu Lin, like a blazing fire, rolled through Wu Chang's life, which should have been smooth and prosperous, leaving it completely unrecognizable. Even after her death, he remembered her for a lifetime, and he hated me for a lifetime, tormenting me for a lifetime. 03. In this life, the female lead Chu Lin still appeared. On the first day of school, she arrived at the school gate riding a Harley. In February, she wore a black tight sweater and skinny jeans, her chestnut short hair framing her face, capturing the attention of all the boys with just one glance, including my boyfriend, Wu Chang. Wu Chang, do you think she's beautiful? I suddenly became curious, a question I had never asked in my previous life. Too ostentatious. I don't like it. Wu Chang replied almost without thinking. A friend joked, in Wu Chang's heart, you're the most beautiful. Wu Chang didn't argue but merely hooked his lips slightly, in the eyes of our friends. This was an affirmation. They howled in excitement. Wu Chang, you're so whipped. Jiajia is blushing. Wu Chang is definitely going to be whipped by his girlfriend, and surely by his wife later. Wu Chang let them tease, slightly bowed his head to tuck my stray hair behind my ear, and I shyly lowered my head in response. In my ears, the sound of Wu Chang's heartbeat, the laughter and teasing of friends, was like the most passionate youth anthem of a summer day. Yet my mood was as cold as ice. The chill was bone-piercing. Just moments ago, when Chu Lin smiled, I witnessed the astonishment in Wu Chang's eyes. It was brief, but it was a look I had only seen once before. At my 16th birthday party, Wu Chang attended with the elders of the Hu family. Encouraged by my mother, I performed a solo dance to a swan lake. That night, Wu Chang found me in the glass room under the moonlight. He said, Yuan Jiaojiao, your ballet just now was the most beautiful dance I have ever seen. I believed him, my face flushing red under the moonlight, but as it turned out, there is no most beautiful. Chu Lin's cha-cha at the school anniversary entered his heart and stayed there for a lifetime. As expected, Chu Lin was set to perform at this year's school anniversary celebration. I suddenly became curious, what would the outcome of this life be if I hadn't stubbornly pursued a relationship with Wu Chang? When the list of hosts for the anniversary was confirmed, and Wu Chang was one of them, he invited me to co-host. I declined, citing a busy academic schedule. My roommate mentioned that a freshman from the performing arts department was on the list of hosts, and I just smiled faintly. Chu Lin wouldn't miss any opportunity to get close to Wu Chang. I didn't attend the celebration. I could list all the performances with my eyes closed. The celebration ended at 10:30 p.m. And my roommates returned early, their faces pale, sitting down to tell me in shock about the horrific scene of Chulin covered in blood from a light fixture falling on her. On the outside, I showed a shocked expression, but inside, I was unmoved. No one knew better than me how painful it was to have lights fall on one's legs, because in a past life, it was I who lay in a pool of blood, and Chulin was the instigator. She had timed it hoping to hit Hui Chang, who was co-hosting with her, and then play the hero to get close to him, but a delay in the previous performance changed the timing, and it hit me instead. I lay in the emergency room for 48 hours before my life was saved, but my legs suffered chronic injuries, preventing me from ever running and jumping like normal people, let alone dancing. The Black Swan variation at the school celebration became my last dance in that previous life. In this life, it was Chulin who was injured. Hui Chang accompanied me to visit her in the hospital. Standing in front of Chulin's hospital bed, tears fell as I returned her words from a past life back to her. Junior sister, you must rebuild well. Even if you cannot dance in the future, there is still a beautiful future ahead. Although my words were gentle and full of positive energy, Chulin's face turned even paler after hearing them. She bit her lip hard, giving Hui Chang a miserable look as if she had been struck a heavy blow. How ironic, she knew the pain now, didn't she? The original speaker of those words had been her, and I had only changed one word. Senior sister, you must rebuild well. Even if you cannot dance in the future, there is still a beautiful future ahead. Seeing the humiliated expression on her face, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. I clenched my fists to suppress the smile tugging at my lips. From the corner of my eye, I saw Hui Chang frown and look at me disapprovingly. So, he begins to feel pity now? I thought, he never pitied me in the past life. I ignored him and left the hospital room first. Hui Chang followed me. You shouldn't have said that. It will upset junior sister Chu. Even after all this time, I could feel his protective stance towards Chulin. I forced a smile. Junior sister Chu isn't as she appears on the surface. Hearing my words, a fleeting tenderness crossed Hui Chang's eyes as he recalled Chulin's strong demeanor while asking the doctor to change her dressing. Yes, she has perseverance, can endure hardship. Such girls are rare these days. How ironic. In my previous life, during my hospital stay, Chulin visited me with a gift. She stood by my bed, tears falling like pearls, and it just so happened that Hui Chang saw this. After she left, Hui Chang said to me, Junior sister Chu is quite sensible. Not quite what her appearance would suggest. That year, he was a senior. Although it was time to hand over the presidency of the student council to the next generation, he fought against the opinions of others and held on to the position until graduation. Later, I realized it was because Chulin was a member of the school's publicity department, and a retiring president shouldn't frequently meet with members. From that moment, I started noticing that Hui Chang treated Chulin differently from others. I began to stir up trouble, successfully becoming a catalyst that strengthened their relationship. I stared blankly at Hui Chang. Hui Chang, you're a senior now? Are you still planning to stay in the student council? Hui Chang's eyes quickly darted away, then regained composure, his dark eyebrows furrowed, clearly displeased. Jiao, you don't need to test me like this. I have no thoughts about her beyond being classmates. After saying this, he angrily got into his car and drove off. The car disappeared into the distance, leaving me alone. I looked up at the foggy sky, laughing until tears came. I hadn't said anything much, just asked if he was going to stay in the student council, and yet, he got so angry. It was nothing more than having plans in his heart and feeling guilty about them. I knew Hui Chang had fallen for Chulin again. Hui Chang and I had been betrothed since birth, and I had always considered myself his bride, even thrilled by a kiss in the glass house on my 16th birthday. Even if we disregard the bonds formed from childhood, we had been together for 5 years, yet, I couldn't compare to Chulin, whom he had only met once. Is this what they call the heroine's halo? If that's the case, I, Yuan Jiao, am not without self-respect. In my previous life, had my legs not been completely disabled, I wouldn't have clung to him after discovering his love for Chulin. Touching my intact legs, my heart quivered slightly. With my legs healthy in this life, could it be that my fate might also change in this life? My first quarrel with Hui Chang, though it wasn't really a quarrel but rather a cold war, was entirely one-sided on his part. As usual, whenever I detected the slightest unhappiness in him, I would proactively clarify things with him, but now I didn't want to waste the effort. I asked my parents if it would damage the Yuan family's reputation if Hui Chang and I were to break off our engagement someday. My father's thick eyebrows knitted together. If he dares, where would the Hui family be without the support of the Yuan family in the past? I sipped my soup, the smile on my lips tinged with bitterness. Father didn't know that even the greatest favor could only be called upon once, not for a lifetime. In my previous life, when he wanted to break off the engagement, I clung to him desperately, which led Chulin to challenge me to a race, betting on who would leave him. I accepted her challenge, and she died in that contest. Since then, Hui Chang hated me, and even though we were married under the coercion of grandfather Hua, he never let me live comfortably. Mother said, Hui Chang is the most gentle among his peers, and my daughter is both beautiful and intelligent. They are bound to have a happy marriage. She didn't know that Hui Chang might still be gentle now, but after Chu Lin's death, he became cold, indifferent, irritable, and estranged from his kin. 3 years after Chu Lin's death, following my parents, grandfather Hua also passed away. Hui Chang, unrestrained, vented all his resentment on me. He humiliated me unabashedly at home. Yuan Xiaojiao, are you so lowly that you must tie a man who doesn't love you to your side? Why couldn't it have been you who died back then, in business? Hui Chang ruthlessly pursued me, the Yuan family's business being gradually swallowed by the Hui Corporation. You used to rely on the Yuan family's power and didn't take Chu Lin seriously. Now, I want to see what you can do without the Yuan family backing you. When Hui Chang sold the old Yuan family mansion at a low price, he even considered buying the cemetery where my parents were buried to develop an amusement park. At that time, I was already 2 months pregnant and was so upset that I ended up in the hospital several times to save the pregnancy. He stormed into my hospital room with his private doctor, intending to terminate the pregnancy. I knelt on the ground, crying and begging him to spare the child in memory of the Yuan ancestors who once saved the Hui family from disaster. His expression was so calm, as if watching an animal perform, with a cold indifference that had nothing to do with him. If you can keep it, then keep it. How could I keep it? At that time, I was already very weak, even struggling to get out of bed. Hui Chang left me in a private residence of the Hui family without medical care or professional nursing, only arranging for a mute nanny to provide 1 meal a day. In less than half a month, I lost the baby. That was our first child. Whenever I think of these things, I feel a roaring in my ears and my stomach cramps with nausea. My father sat beside me. Baby, tell your father. Did that Hui boy bully you? My loving father was still there, but I didn't know when white hairs had begun to appear in his thick black hair. My throat was so sore, I managed a faint smile and lied. Dad, Hui Chang has a good temper. My father noticed my hand trembling as I held the soup spoon, and his gaze grew thoughtful. After a while, he said seriously, baby, just hang in there. Once I finish this project I'm working on, the Yuan family's foundation will be secure. Then, Yuan Hao's daughter won't have to live at the mercy of anyone. The project. My face suddenly turned pale. In my previous life, it was this project that began the slow decline of the Yuan family. Hui Chang and I had been cold to each other for 5 days. Something that had never happened before. Our mutual friends noticed and tried to get us out together for some fun, but Hui Chang and I both declined, citing academic reasons. 2 days later, it was Yanlei's birthday. Since we all grew up together in the same circle and our parents knew each other, I couldn't really refuse to attend. I arrived late, and they were already having a great time. Chu Lin was there too, and within a week, she had made her way into the circle. Just like in my previous life, Chu Lin lost a game again, and Yanlei, ever the mischief maker, insisted she choose a man to play the noodle-eating game with her on the spot. Chu Lin, still not fully recovered and in a wheelchair, blushed deeply under everyone's gaze. After much hesitation, just like in her past life, she raised her hand and pointed at Hui Chang. I stood at the doorway, smiling lightly, unnoticed as the room buzzed with excitement. Hui Chang hesitated at first and didn't get up immediately, but seeing Chu Lin's eyes redden, he nodded gently in agreement. Each took an end of the noodle in their mouth, and as the noodle grew shorter, their lips drew closer, igniting the atmosphere in the room. Cheers erupted, everyone forgetting that Hui Chang had a girlfriend. I turned away without looking back. Behind me stood an aunt with an embarrassed expression. Miss Yuan, it's just kids fooling around. Her tone was very cautious, fearful that I might impulsively cause a scene at the young Master Yan's birthday party. She wasn't wrong to worry. In my previous life, I indeed made a scene. I barged into the room with my crutch, slapped Chu Lin, scolded Yanlei, and even pushed the aunt who tried to intervene. I didn't mean to push her, and I didn't know she was Yanlei's aunt from his hometown. Yanlei had lost his mother young and was very close to her. That outburst completely ruined my relationship with Hui Chang and strained things with Yanlei. At that time, I knew nothing about doing business, only aware that the Hui family owned extensive properties, unmatched in our circle, yet unaware that a third of the Hui family's business relied on the Yan family's connections. The Yan family had a vast and intricate network of relationships. A week after the incident, the major project that was supposed to be a sure thing for my dad fell through. Later on, there was a major upheaval in the Yuan family's business chain. I went to seek help from Yanlei, but I couldn't even get through the gates of his house. Uncle Yan didn't like me. He forbade Yanlei from helping me, and even more from getting involved in the matters between Hui Chang and me. Auntie, could you please give this gift to Xiao Lei for me? I won't go in. I smiled as I handed the gift to the auntie, then quietly left. It was as if I had never been there. The next day, Yanlei made a special trip to see me at school, and we met at a coffee shop outside the campus. Yanlei arrived first and ordered my favorite, a cherry blossom latte. He first thanked me for the gift I sent him, then delicately said, Jiao Jiao, I'm sorry, we drank too much last night. don't take it to heart, okay? Auntie must have told him everything she saw last night. It's fine. My smile remained as I shook my head at him. He sighed in relief. As long as you understand, Witching knows his limits. I heard from my dad that old Mr. Hua met him for tea recently and said that as soon as Witching graduates, he'll formalize the engagement with your family. It should be soon, right? Soon. According to the trajectory of my previous life, it would be next month, but this time, Witching and I won't get engaged. I blinked, pretending not to understand. Really, actually, I think both Witching and I are still young. There's no rush. Besides, each of us belongs to our own families. If not Witching, my marriage partner could be another young man from the capital, or there could even be some changes. Yanlei paused, lifting his eyes to look at me, a glint of starlight in his gaze. You didn't say that before. When we graduated from high school, I confessed to you that I only liked him, youthful and naive. I thought liking someone meant for a lifetime, but feelings cannot be measured by time. A lifetime is too long, and liking only one person seems too dull. I chuckled. I was just a child back then. Yanlei seemed a bit agitated. And now, what about now? I stirred my coffee, not answering his question directly. Instead, I gently placed my hand on his. If one day I have a falling out with Witching, you would help me, right? Yanlei trembled, his ears turning red uncontrollably. He grasped my hand with his other hand, but only briefly, then he quickly let go. Yanlei met my gaze, nodding firmly. Of course. He looked at my hand on his. Pursing his lips, Jiao, even if you didn't do this, I, and the Yan family behind me, will always be on your side. Yanlei had liked me since we were young, but I never felt the same. So he always stayed by my side as a friend. Initially, I just considered him a friend, but after he confessed, I avoided him. Then he became good friends with Witching. After pushing away his aunt's issue, he was indeed mad at me for a while, but when he later found out that Witching was with Chu Lin, he came to persuade me to break up with Witching and consider him. At that time, stung by Witching and Chu Lin, I felt that the unattainable is always the most desirable, and so I rejected him. There was never anyone else by his side. Only later did I find out that the Yuan family was suppressed by Witching. He helped me a lot behind his dad's back. The day I died, he was attending a meeting abroad. Just out of the meeting room, he heard the news of my death and vomited blood. He rushed back, wanting to see me one last time. Unfortunately, the plane on his return journey had an accident. My eyes became sour, and my vision gradually blurred. I looked at the blushing big boy in front of me, feeling a bitter sweetness stir within me. Thank you. Seeing the tears welling up in my eyes, Yanlei panicked. Jiao, don't cry, don't worry. I'll stand by you. I know you mean well, but your father. Yanlei lifted his chin proudly. My dad, the big romantic, listens to everything I say. Uncle Yan, truly is a rare romantic in our circle. Yanlei's mom passed away from complications during childbirth, and Uncle Yan raised him single-handedly without remarrying. In this life, I haven't caused Yanlei's aunt to be hospitalized. The Yuan family hasn't fallen into ruin, and my reputation is still intact. Uncle Yan should help my family. Seeing my worried look, Yanlei quickly raised his hand, swearing an oath. Don't worry. I'll make sure my dad helps when I get back. His smile broadened, his eyes twinkling like stars. That promise was all I needed. It's well known in the capital that the men of the Yan family keep their word. Sorry, Yanlei, for using you first. In return, I will definitely change your fate. I reached out and tugged at his sleeve, curving my lips into a graceful arc. Go back now, and remember not to let anyone know. Yanlei touched my hair lightly with his hand and grinned. I understand. As the car disappeared around the corner, I moved forward a few steps to a black van parked nearby. Using the closed windows as a mirror, I examined my appearance. With reddened eyes and a flushed nose, I looked both innocent and pitiable. It turns out this could work too. In my past life, I disdained Chu Lin's facade of being strong in front of others, but weepy behind them. Now, I find myself acting just like her. I dropped the pitiable facade and walked towards the school with a serene face. 11. Inside the black van, Hu, the assistant in the driver's seat, dared not make a sound. Witching's dark eyes were fixed in the direction of the school gate. He had originally promised Chu Lin to take her for a checkup today, but coincidentally, as the car reached the school gate, he saw Yuan Jiao entering a cafe by the roadside. She had been there for half an hour since her appearance. The tinted car windows shielded the inside from view, but from inside, the actions and expressions of those outside were clear. His girlfriend secretly meeting with a brother. Witching scoffed coldly, feeling the irony. He had been feeling guilty, avoiding getting too close to Chu Lin. It turned out Yuan Jiao had gotten close with Yanlei first. No wonder she was less clingy than before, dismissive in her messages, and unresponsive to calls. This was for the better. He didn't need to feel guilty anymore. Witching's lips twitched. He took a deep breath, trying to suppress the unease in his heart, but it was to no avail. Just then, Chu Lin slowly emerged from the school gate. She was dressed beautifully in a mint green dress, revealing her slender legs. Her pretty face lit up brightly at the sight of him. The bright sunlight added a touch of wildness to her. Hui Chang watched the girl not far away, narrowing his eyes. Before coming, he had asked his assistant to drive the company car to avoid being recognized. Thinking of the intimate behavior between Yuan Jiajia and Yanlei earlier, he suddenly didn't want to hide anymore. Let everyone see. Hui Chang pushed open the car door and stepped out. 12. That evening, Dad announced that the project was finalized, with Uncle Yan's connections. It was settled over a dinner. I called Yanlei to thank him, but he hung up. 3 seconds later, he video called me from the gym. The person in the camera's lens has fair skin dotted with fine beads of sweat and bright red lips. It makes one's heart skip a beat. I called to thank you. Did I disturb you? The man paused mid-action, his bright eyes intently staring over. Do you still need to say thank you to me? At those words, I pursed my lips and remained silent. Seeing that I made no comment, Yanlei coughed. I don't mean to rush you. Take your time. I won't mention it to Hui Chang. Anyway, I'm fine with it. It's just that sometimes I want to see you, but I'm afraid to seek you out, after all. It's not officially acknowledged, and it could lead to gossip. After he finished speaking, he moved the phone slightly away. He lifted his shirt hem and wiped the sweat from his face. In doing so, he revealed a clear set of abs, so striking that it was hard to look away. Honestly, Yanlei has a better physique than Hui Chang. I swallowed and shifted my gaze away lightly. As for Hui Chang, I'll handle it as soon as I can, but maybe I'll need your help again. Is that okay? The man in the video looked at me and grinned with a flash of his teeth, happy to help. That evening, someone captured a photo of senior Hui Chang from senior year picking up a junior girl in his car. I remained indifferent, continuing with my usual routine of classes, library, and dorm. A kind classmate came to warn me, but I only responded, I believe Hui Chang isn't like that, and although I haven't met Junior Chu personally, I've heard from other friends that she might seem unapproachable. But she's actually very nice. The person hesitated to speak further, then just shook their head and left. Later, rumors spread that Chu Lin and I were close friends and that Hui Chang picking her up was at my request. My roommate saw this and scoffed. Pfft, who would want to be friends with that kind of person? I don't know who started that rumor, who else but Chu Lin herself, trying to snatch Hui Chang and step on me to gain a good reputation, playing both sides. That's the heroine for you. Let her take Hui Chang if she wants, but I absolutely won't allow her to step on me to climb higher. A week after Yanlei's birthday, a video of Hui Chang and Chu Lin playing a game was posted on the school's forum. Overnight, the way people looked at me changed from mere disappointment to sympathy and indignation. In a previous life, Hui Chang told me it was just a game and not to take it to heart, but was it really just a game? I skipped class with my roommate Tang Tang and bought a bunch of snacks. When we reached the student union, they told me Hui Chang was in the office, carrying a lot of stuff. 2 classmates volunteered to help carry it up. Just as we reached the president's office door, we heard voices inside. I didn't know any of the people there at the time, except you a bit. I didn't expect it to be misunderstood. I'll go to Yuan's dorm later to explain, and I'll clarify on the forum too. Hui Chang leaned on the desk, facing the window, with the female voice falling into his ears as he rotated his wristwatch. His tone was emotionless. No need, let them talk. Chu Lin was silent for a while, her tone aggrieved. I'm sorry, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. Hearing this, Tang Tang couldn't hold back anymore. Thrusting the snacks into the arms of a classmate behind her, she kicked open the door and pointed at Chu Lin, erupting in anger. Give me a break. Who in the school doesn't know Jiao Jiao and Hui Chang are a couple? Their photos have always been pinned at the top of the school forum, and last year in the school's promotional video they were even holding hands on camera. If you're blind you should at least have ears. During the school anniversary, when Hui Chang was hosting, the girls were shouting Jiao Jiao's name so loud they almost broke their throats. Are you deaf? Even if you are blind and deaf, wouldn't you ask if someone has a partner before playing flirty games with them? The other members of the student union who had come up laughed. Their looks toward Chu Lin were full of disdain. Chu Lin, suddenly exposed, her face flushed red, instinctively looked towards Hui Chang. Hui Chang looked deeply at me. Why did you come today? Not yesterday, not the day before, but today. She probably thought I was disrupting her plans. Chu Lin slightly curled her lips, lifted her chin proudly, and looked at me with a hint of triumph. Before coming here, I thought these two would deny everything to the end. But I didn't expect Hui Chang to be so careless. He even openly showed his disdain. I lowered my head, feeling a bit amused. My shoulders shook slightly, and it took me a moment to suppress my laughter before I looked up again. Can I come? My voice was calm, but there was a choke in my tone. To others, it must have seemed like the ultimate grievance. Why is senior Hui Chang like this? I heard he and Jiao Jia are even planning to get engaged. That's so blatant, totally irresponsible, although I look somewhat delicate. I am strong-willed and never show weakness in front of others. Even Hui Chang was taken aback for a moment. He had never seen me like this before. He gradually frowned, seemingly unsure how to handle the situation. In truth, I didn't want to hear his explanations. I just wanted to get this drama over with. My tears were almost ready to fall. I'm leaving. I bit my lip, giving Hui Chang a mournful look. The tears I had prepared started to fall in front of everyone, then, taking Tang Tang by the hand, I turned to leave, but I was stopped by a student council member. Senior Yuan, don't go, the one who should leave isn't you.
Yeah.
Some people are too much. They need to figure out their place, don't get too arrogant with a 2+1 attitude, just stop being disgusting. The murmurs grew louder, Chu Lin's chest heaved with anger as she stood up, fists clenched. Yuan Jiajiao, stop playing the victim. Was it you who posted that video on the forum last time? You even went to the hospital to mock my disability, and now you're here staging this drama for whom? I couldn't help but smile internally. That was the right approach. These were the lines from my past life. Back then, I stormed in here alone, wanting to confront Chu Lin about whether she was the one who leaked that night's video, only to see her crying in Hu Cheng's arms. Furious, I lost my temper again. Seen by people from the student council who came to deliver something, Chu Lin played the innocent victim and started crying about leaving, which led others to accuse me of throwing a tantrum at the student council, ruining my reputation at school from then on. This time, I just went downstairs first, brought some snacks for the students in a meeting, and when they cautiously asked me if I had seen the forum, I confidently and openly expressed my trust in Hu Cheng and Chu Lin. It was somewhat similar to what Chu Lin said in my previous life. I believe Senior Yuan didn't mean to do it, she just loves Senior Hu Cheng too much and can't control her temper, right? Chu Lin, have you gone mad? Who would post such an embarrassing video online for others to see? Why are you snapping like a dog? As I walked downstairs with Tang Tang, I could hear Chu Lin's tearful sobs behind me. Why are you all treating me this way? I clearly haven't done anything wrong. My roommate was so angry she gritted her teeth. I really want to slap this idiot. I patted her on the shoulder, telling her to relax, stepping out of the main building. A gentle breeze and the bright sunlight made me look up at the blue sky and smile contentedly. My roommate puzzled. How can you still smile after all this? Because I won. From the visit to the hospital, I had deliberately provoked Chu Lin to make her angry, as the art of war states. Agitate them and tire them. If your opponent makes you angry, you're likely to lose. In my previous life, Chu Lin agitated me first, causing me to lose my composure and rhythm, and I kept losing to her. This life, I started by agitating her first, I won the first round, and now, by agitating her again, I've won another round. I won, I will keep on winning. Suddenly, a wave of panic surged in Hu Cheng's heart as he stood up straight in the office, just as he was about to follow someone out the door. Chu Lin grabbed his arm. Senior, could you please speak for me? I didn't do it. Hu Cheng lowered his head to look at Chu Lin, who was crying pitifully, and suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach. Hu Cheng was hospitalized, his classmates from the student council sent him there, acute gastritis. He posted a message on his social circle. Soon, all his close friends rushed over. When everyone arrived, they found only Hu Cheng and Chu Lin in the hospital room. They all laughed. They were about to tease them, but Hu Cheng glanced behind them, a trace of disappointment flickered in his eyes. Is it just you guys? Everyone was startled. Within their circle, they were the closest. If anyone else was to be mentioned, it would only be Yuan Jiajia and Yan Lei. With Chu Lin there, it wouldn't be appropriate for Yuan Jiajia to come. Someone guessed he was asking about Yan Lei. Yan Lei has been busy lately. Whenever we call him out, he always says he's busy, of course. He's busy dating. Such a couple. Hu Cheng's expression grew colder and colder. Seeing that the atmosphere had turned tense, everyone dared not speak further. Only Chu Lin, a bit bolder, poured a glass of water for Hu Cheng. Hu Cheng took it, then coldly pointed at one of the guys. Call Yan Lei. That guy did as told and put Yan Lei on speakerphone. As soon as the call connected, heavy breathing sounds that could lead to wild guesses were heard. Bang! Hu Cheng slammed the glass down onto the floor. Splashes of water and shards of glass scattered everywhere. Chu Lin screamed in fright. Everyone was silent, not knowing why Hu Cheng was so angry, and too scared to speak. The breathing from the phone continued. Hu Cheng shouted into the phone, Yan Lei, what are you doing? Who's with you? The sound of a treadmill stopped, and from the phone, Yan Lei's chuckling voice emerged. Hu Cheng, why the rush? Just running. Who did you think was with me? At this hour, that lady who let out a cry. Who is she? His tone was lazy, but each word struck deep into Hu Cheng's heart, and those who were initially clueless began to grasp something. Did Hu Cheng think Yan Lei was up to something? But even if he was, what did it have to do with him? Why was he so anxious? The next day, the story, Chu Lin has no shame, a real vixen, exploded across the social networks. Everyone knew that Chu Lin shamelessly interfered with Yuan Jiajia and Hu Cheng's relationship. Hu Cheng was not much better, openly displaying affection with his mistress in the student council. Chu Lin and Hu Cheng's reputations were completely ruined at the school. Meanwhile, Yuan Jiajia seemed to have given up. Previously, she kept her distance from other men because of Hu Cheng, but now she was frequently seen with Yan Lei, the heartthrob from the neighboring university. Those in the circle sensed the real story. Hu Cheng was angry because he knew Yan Lei and Yuan Jiajia had gotten together. But he had found someone else too. Hui Cheng had someone call Yuan Jiajiao. Reluctantly, the person dialed her number, compelled by Hui Cheng's chilling demeanor. The call connected slowly. What is it? A man's voice came through. The temperature in the room seemed to drop below zero. They knew that voice all too well. Hui Cheng forced a smile, flames nearly shooting from his eyes. Yan Lei, why do you have Yuan Jiajiao's phone? A laugh came from the other end of the line. Hui Cheng. Not only is the phone with me, but she is here with me too. Hui Cheng's veins throbbed at his temples. He snatched the phone and smashed it violently against the wall. Yan Lei would visit me every now and then. He's a student from the university next door and comes to our school to play basketball. You're 20 minutes later than yesterday. Yan Lei, dressed in a loose blue basketball jersey, ran over to me. Lately, I don't know what's gotten into him. He often stops halfway through the game to have me bring him water, even though there's bottled water available at the basketball court. He refuses to drink it, insisting instead that I make him herbal tea, claiming it's for health reasons. I handed him the kettle with a faint smile, explaining. The water dispenser was broken, so I borrowed some hot water from the dorm supervisor. He huffed, picked up a bottle of mineral water from the ground, opened it, and handed it to me before taking the kettle from me, pouring half a cup, and mixing it with half a cup of mineral water before gulping it down. Sweat soaked through the back of his jersey, and with each breath he took, the logo on the front of his team uniform rose and fell. The setting sun sharply and deeply cut the contours of his profile. There were many tall guys with broad shoulders and narrow hips on the court, but Yan Lei stood out the most. It made my throat itch just looking at him, and I casually turned my gaze away. The next second, my head was turned back. Miss Yuan, what strange thing are you looking at? Is it more interesting than me? When Yan Lei lowered his head, his eyelids drooped, giving off a despondent and pitiful vibe, much like the Labrador on my roommate's wallpaper. I couldn't help myself and touched his fluffy, curly hair. Yan Lei's face immediately turned red, and he growled quietly, "What are you doing? You can't just touch a man's hair like that." Oh. But I already did. I pursed my lips and smiled at him. Sorry, I'll do it again next time. Forget it. But don't make it a habit. He took a big gulp, one hand holding my thermos, the other pulling on my arm. I'm so hungry. Treat me to a meal? I really should treat him. Considering I owe him a big favor, I smiled and was about to get up when a basketball came flying straight at me. I was frozen in place, terrified. As a dark shadow approached, lightning flashed and thunder roared, and a large hand caught it, slamming it back. Yan Lei shielded me behind him and yelled, "Hui Cheng, what are you doing?" Hui Cheng had arrived at some point. Without Chu Lin by his side, he often played basketball, but each department had its own court, and he seldom came to ours. Hui Cheng wasn't in his basketball jersey but wore a simple jacket, sweatpants, and sneakers, looking like he had just finished class. I always felt. He looked up at Yan Lei, his lips gradually straightening into a line. Sorry, it slipped. Both of their faces turned cold, creating a tense standoff. The air seemed to be filled with the smell of gunpowder. Yan Lei, I tugged at his arm, and he looked down at me in surprise. I'm hungry. Let's go. I smiled at him. He stared at me for a couple of seconds, then pursed his lips. What do you want to eat? What do you feel like eating? Are you really treating me?
Yeah.
No, don't. I can't accept a girl taking me out for a meal under the setting sun. We walked side by side out of the basketball court, neither of us giving Hui Cheng another glance. Hui Cheng stood rigidly in place, everything around him receding at an unusual pace. All he could see were the fading figures of the two of us, so near yet so far. The dimming sunlight stretched his shadow long. Perhaps even he hadn't noticed, but his fingers hanging by his side were trembling slightly. When Hui Cheng called me, I was washing my hair and couldn't answer. By the time I dried my hands and tried to pick up, the call had ended. I didn't call back and rushed off to class instead. Unexpectedly, Hui Cheng was waiting for me in my classroom. Seeing someone secretly taking photos with their phone, I was on edge. It was a large class that lasted all afternoon. Attending class under the watchful eyes of everyone was uncomfortable. According to the plot, at this time, Hui Cheng should have been getting along well with Chu Lin. Why did he come here? Is there something you need? I asked quietly, turning my face to the side. I'm here to accompany you in class, Hui Cheng replied without looking up, seemingly oblivious to the stares of others, his eyes fixed on the book he brought. With our current relationship, that's really not necessary. Everyone knows we had a falling out. Hui Cheng slightly lifted his eyelids, his gaze deep and unreadable. What relationship do we have? If I remember correctly, you are my girlfriend. It's surprising he still remembers that I am his girlfriend. He didn't seem to remember that when he was playing games with Chu Lin. I gave a faint smile. We broke up a long time ago, did we? He flipped through his book, not looking up. I don't recall that. I bit my lip, puzzled by his thinking. Fine. We're breaking up now. Make sure you remember this time. Hui Cheng closed his book, looking up with a hint of melancholy in his eyes. I only remember that the Hua and Yuan families had arranged a marriage between us since we were children. Breaking up with Huicheng wasn't going to settle the arranged marriage. When Huicheng left, he said, "Grandfather wants you to come over for dinner on Sunday evening, in a past life." It was at this dinner that Grandfather Hua asked me if getting engaged to Huicheng next month was too rushed. At that time, my disagreements with Huicheng had escalated. And unable to endure the humiliation, I complained to Grandfather Hua about him. I told him about Huicheng's involvement with a girl of humble origins. Grandfather Hua, who values social status, struck Huicheng and even talked about setting things straight with Chu Lin, under pressure. Huicheng agreed to the engagement, but the engagement party never happened, because the night before the engagement, he deliberately soaked himself in ice water all night and ended up in the hospital. To avoid marrying me, he was even willing to risk his life. This time, when Grandfather Hua asked, I planned to refuse directly, but I didn't expect Huicheng to agree before I could speak. Even though Grandfather Hua was asking me, he interrupted, "Grandfather, Jiajia won't mind. We've been together for so long." Before coming here, I had already discussed it with my parents. They were also aware of Huicheng and Chu Lin's situation, yet now, seeing Huicheng still wanting to go ahead with the engagement, my father was furious, with eyes full of anger fixed on Huicheng, who was calmly having his soup. He restrained his rage and said lightly, "Let's not discuss the engagement for now. Jiajia is still young, and her mother and I would like to keep her with us for a few more years. Times have changed. And there's no longer any need for equal social standing in marriages. If Xiaochen truly likes that girl, he should bring her over for Grandpa to meet." I didn't expect my father to be so direct, which made Huicheng suddenly look up. Instead of looking at Grandpa Hua, he looked at me in disbelief. He hadn't expected me to tell my parents about it. He thought at most I would be upset with him, but that we would still get married. After all, I loved him so much. He was too confident. Grandpa Hua found out and decided to enforce the family discipline. Huicheng couldn't escape a beating, but this time, without my insistence, the marriage was called off. My relationship with Huicheng was officially over. That night, I posted on my social circle, "Once wished for us, now wishing for you and me." Many friends privately messaged me asking what happened. I simply replied, "We broke up." There was no need to explain further. They all knew about Huicheng's heated affair with a girl outside our circle. The Yuan family and Yuan Jiajia were not at fault. I watched the drama unfold like an outsider. In this life, I was a perfect victim. Huicheng and Chu Lin stood at the lowest moral point. Only one person liked that post in my social circle. It was Yanlei. At midnight, he called me, "Want to go see the sunrise?" Sure. I put on my prettiest dress. Quietly, I ran downstairs and got into Yanlei's car. The air conditioning was on, and he handed me a blanket with a flushed face. "It'll take an hour and a half to get there. You should sleep a bit." I took the blanket, looked at him for a while. "Why is your face red?" "Is it?" I blinked. "Come closer. Let me see." He pursed his lips, came closer. His face got even redder. I moved closer. Our lips touched, the touch and temperature just right. "Sorry, I wanted a kiss." "Is that it? What else did you have in mind?" His eyes deepened. A faint blush in his glance. I licked my lips unconsciously. The strong scent of masculinity hit me, the heat of his lips, his solid body. Yanlei was skilled. A tingling sensation spread as fireworks exploded in the distance. I was lost in the splendor. The sunrise was beautiful. As the sun rose from the horizon, Yanlei took a photo of me and posted it on his social circle. Caption, "Lover." The comment section exploded. "Are you guys together now? So early in the morning. You were together last night." I zoomed in on Jiajia's neck. I leaned on Yanlei, laughing uncontrollably at the comments. I had never experienced this feeling of being declared before. I saw Yanlei replying to everyone. Finally got the chance. Of course, I had to secure it early. I turned my head. The man beside me staring at his phone with a victorious smile. The sunlight made his face look stunning. After almost a sleepless night, I caught up on some sleep the next morning. It was pouring outside. The maid hesitated as she pointed downstairs. "Master Hua has been here for a long time. Miss, be careful." I always feel that Master Hua is a bit strange. The moment I saw Huicheng, I understood what the maid meant by a bit strange. In just one night, he seemed like a completely different person. He was sitting on the sofa when he heard a noise and looked up. His usually cold and indifferent eyes were like two bottomless black holes. My heart skipped a beat. The man in front of me was a spitting image of the one 10 years later, full of hatred and brooding. I was certain that Huicheng had also returned, and when he saw the marks on my neck, his eyes suddenly turned bloodshot. A bad premonition washed over me. The next second, Huicheng rushed at me like a madman. He grabbed my neck with both hands. "Yuan Jiajiao, who allowed you to be with Yanlei?" I tried to pry his hands off, but it was useless. The disparity in strength between men and women left me powerless to fight back. As I began to suffocate, I saw my aunt try to pull Hui Cheng away, but he pushed her aside with one hand. Yuan Jiajiao, you belong to me, in past lives, and in this one too, don't even think about leaving me. His eyes were blood red, and he was clearly not in his right mind. The air in my lungs was slowly escaping. I felt like I was going to die. Is this my fate, even reborn as a supporting character? I'm doomed to die at the hands of the protagonist. My vision started to blur, and my consciousness began to fade. Suddenly, a figure appeared and pulled Hui Cheng away. The pressure on my neck was gone, and I collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. Yan Lei pinned Hui Cheng to the ground. Cough, cough, cough. Don't hit him, just call the police. Hui Cheng was taken away directly. The house was equipped with cameras, and his actions were caught, constituting intentional harm. Because the injuries were not severe, he was sentenced to only a year and a half. But that was enough for me. Hui Cheng was indeed exceptional, but the Hui family has other grandsons. The Hui family wouldn't want an heir with a criminal record. He was now out of the running for the inheritance. After Hui Cheng was incarcerated, I kept tabs on Chu Lin, finding her close with another wealthy young man in the circle, though he wasn't as blindly romantic as Hui Cheng. Perhaps it was because of Hui Cheng's precedent. Initially, the man had genuine feelings for her, but he didn't let it affect his decisions regarding arranged marriages and education. Chu Lin followed him for a while, but was eventually dumped, unsatisfied. She went to his family's home and was humiliated. On the way back, she was in a car accident. She ended up with the same fate she had before. She clearly had other paths to take, to leave and start anew. Unfortunately, she hadn't been reborn and didn't know that this world was just a tragic novel, or perhaps, the current developments are just a new novel. But what does it matter? What's real and what's not? Who can truly say? Yan Lei's social media updates weren't hidden from elders. Uncle Yan saw them. And so did my parents. A week later, the Yan and Yuan families arranged an engagement for their children. Yan Lei was quite unhappy with it. Can't we just get married directly? After receiving my glare, he finally shut his mouth. The day after the engagement party, Yan Lei and I left the country together. Our families saw us off at the airport. Yan Lei held my hand tightly as we went through security. Sitting on the plane, I truly felt the sensation of breaking free from shackles. I didn't know if I would die, but I knew that the obsessions and resentments of my past life were gone. It was only when I faced my difficulties that my life truly began to change.